So, naughty listers are getting this movie in their stockings instead of coal this year, huh? Hey everybody, welcome to Mainly Movies. Today I'm going to be talking about the 2024 holiday action comedy, Red One. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for a variety of movie-related content, like reviews, rank lists, and trailer reactions. All of my reviews include a breakdown of the pros and cons, my rating, and some tailored film recommendations, so be sure to watch through to the end of this video for all of that extra content. Red One stars Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, and J.K. Simmons. It was directed by Jake Kasdan. It tells the story of Santa's head security elf and a human naughty lister who must team up to save Santa after he's been kidnapped from the North Pole. When reviewing a movie, or even just thinking about a movie, one of the most important questions to ask is who is this for? Because the answer is not always going to be you. Personal enjoyment is obviously an important consideration, but determining who a movie was made for can help you figure out its effectiveness or its success. Usually the answer to who is this for is a fairly obvious one. Sometimes it's broad. Everybody. Men ages 10 to 50. Kids. Other times it's a bit more specific. History nerds who also like fantasy, women over 40 who read the whole book series, rock climbers between 30 and 35 who played Crash Bandicoot as a kid. There can obviously be crossover appeal and nuance to this, but you get the idea. Red One is a strange one when it comes to this question though. Watching the trailers, you'd probably guess that this was for men ages 13 to 30, fans of Dwayne Johnson's action comedies and the MCU. And then you've got the Christmas angle, which would draw in kids and families. So pretty broad appeal. A sure holiday winner, right? But then you actually watch the movie and ask that question again. Who is this for? It's too PG-13 for young kids. It's too drab and dark for people looking for some holiday cheer. It's too slow and poorly paced for action fans, too unfunny for comedy fans. It's a movie that's sure to garner sporadic fans, but when broadly asking who is this for, the answers are resounding, I have no idea. That's typically not a very encouraging sign for a movie. But on the plus side, Red One has a pretty decent premise. Now, if you've seen many of my reviews, you know that I'm not a big Christmas cheer person. I tend to gravitate towards slightly more alternative Christmas movies. So, an action comedy about rescuing a kidnapped Santa sounds like the perfect shut your brain off and enjoy holiday entertainment for me. And the idea is there. The setup is fine, the basic structure works. There was clearly a lot of thought and creativity put into the Yuletide world building. Government agencies for mythological beings, various gadgets, and all sorts of, oh, so that's how he pulls it off things. There's also some interesting incorporation of other holiday or winter beings. Like I said, some thought was clearly put into this, and these elements are fun, but they're largely glossed over and really not focused on. So Red One's got a strong premise, but unfortunately, premise and execution are two very different things. This is an incredibly slow and poorly paced movie. Underwhelming action set pieces are linked together by long, tedious stretches of dialogue and exposition that aren't interesting or fun for somebody looking for story, let alone somebody who just wants some mindless entertainment. The plot's a boring drag, but even from a visual perspective, Red One is one of the most drab and dull Christmas movies I've seen in a long time. Like I said before, I'm all for alternative Christmas movies, and even anti-Christmas movies. Holiday horror? Yes, please. But Red One isn't any of that. It's not anti or alternative. This is a movie that's attempting to be fun and have wide festive appeal, but it all just looks so muddy. Oh boy, do you think you'd be mad if we nicknamed it Ruddy? It's a dark movie filled with grays, browns, and muted colors, all trying to cover up extensive CGI that ranges from average to very poor. The Christmas magic is severely lacking here, so much so that even I was craving a bit of color and cheer. Dull moodiness can work for some films, but this movie just has that flat, glossy, homogenized look of your typical Krampus slop-together straight-to-streaming flick. And yet, this thing cost $250 million to make. Where the budget went, I couldn't tell you. It definitely wasn't in the writing or visuals. But so what, right? It's not like we're expecting Oscar-worthy heights from our action comedies. They almost always have ridiculous and silly stories that aren't considered well-written by the usual standards. Sometimes they have laughably poor CGI, but we can look past all of that because they're entertaining. They're funny and have characters we like to watch, played by actors who clearly had a good time filming, right? Right? I'll admit that this is the type of movie I usually enjoy more than the average critic. Watching the trailers, I was looking forward to this one. Sure, it looked dumb, but it seemed like that dumb kind of fun we often get from these types of movies. In the past, Dwayne Johnson's action comedies have worked for me. He's so charismatic that he pairs well with anybody. I mean, he could have good chemistry with The Rock. But somehow, that just doesn't happen here. I'm not sure if it's because of the way the characters are written or what, but Johnson and Evans have zero chemistry. They're not entertaining to watch together at all, which certainly hurts in a reluctant, mismatched buddy cop style story. But even beyond the chemistry, the humor's just not there. The jokes almost all fall flat, and even Evans's fish out of water reactions can't sustain the comedy for very long. Apart from a few ridiculous moments with Krampus, the only entertaining scenes in the film are the ones that feature J.K. Simmons as Santa, but even those are disappointingly few and far between. Alright, let's talk about the pros and cons. Pro number one is the premise. Cutesy holiday cheer Christmas movies get old fast, and all start to blur together for a Grinch like me. So I always appreciate it when a film can take a unique alternative approach to a Christmas story. So an action comedy with hints of Mission Impossible in the MCU about a mission to rescue a kidnapped Santa seemed right up my Yuletide alley. It's a fun blend of ideas, and it's clear that some thought and creativity were put into the world building and incorporation of pre-existing mythological legends. It's just a shame that the premise was squandered when it came time for the actual story execution. The second pro is J.K. Simmons as Santa. This is a very minor pro, not because of its quality, but simply because of how little screen time Simmons has in the movie. It's minimal to say the least, and his conscious screen time is even less. But for the handful of minutes he graces the screen as Saint Nick, he steals the show, as an entertaining take on the jolly old elf we all know and love. On the con side, the biggest issue is the lack of chemistry and humor. Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans can both be really entertaining actors. They've both got a lot of charisma, and usually have no trouble portraying believable on-screen interpersonal relationships. But somehow, watching these two together in this film is like watching paint dry. They're supposed to be an entertainingly mismatched pair who reluctantly have to work together, but there's just no chemistry there at all, and by extension, very little humor. The jokes fall flat, the gags drag on so long that you're just waiting for the scene to end. There are some occasional mildly entertaining moments, mostly involving Santa or Krampus, but this was one of the more unfunny action comedies I've seen in a while. The second con is how dull and drab this film is. To save time, this is a bit of a combo con, combining not only the visuals, but also the story itself. Visually speaking, this is a dark, muddy, and unpleasantly drab film that does anything but spark Christmas cheer. Everything looks so muted and artificial. The film makes extensive use of CGI, and some of it's okay, solidly average, but quite a bit of it's surprisingly poor. Some of the character designs, the motion blur backgrounds during the action scenes, even something as seemingly simple as snow globe snow just look bad. And this dull and drab quality extends to the story too. Like I said before, the premise is decent, but its execution is beyond underwhelming. This movie has no business being as boring as it is. The pacing's awful, and this movie drags, making its already bloated 2-hour runtime feel even longer. Before I give you my rating recommendations, I want to remind you that if you're interested in buying Red One or any of the other films I mentioned today, I do have affiliate links for all of them in the description below. I get a small commission from anything you buy in one of my links, so I'd really appreciate it if you'd use them if you're in the market for any of these movies. I'm gonna give Red One 2 out of 5 paws. It's got a fun premise, some interesting hints at world building, and a great Santa performance by J.K. Simmons, but this is one of the most dull and drab Christmas movies I've ever seen. With little chemistry and even fewer laughs, this is definitely one for the naughty list. I would recommend Red One to people who want a Christmas movie to throw on in the background while they're wrapping presents or baking Christmas cookies. It provides some limited entertainment, but it's not one that you'll feel bad about looking away from, or not paying complete attention to. Let's just say that it won't distract you very much, so you'll be able to stay focused on your holiday task. If you liked Red One, I would recommend Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Also directed by Jake Kasdan and featuring Dwayne Johnson, this is a surprisingly fun sequel to the 90s adventure comedy classic. Full of laughs, heart, and good chemistry between its characters, it accomplishes everything Red One tried and failed to do. If you're in the Christmas spirit and want another fish out of water story with fun and interesting world building, you should definitely watch The Santa Claus. Following an icy accident, Tim Allen discovers that he's been tapped to be the next Santa and is suddenly thrown into the festive frenzy of preparing for the next Christmas Eve ride. And if you want some more fantasy adventure with mythological beings, you should check out Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Another film focused on characters finding a powerful magical item, this movie has a similar feel to Red One at times, but it's far less drab and quite a bit more entertaining. Alright, a couple questions for you guys. Number 1, have you seen Red One? If so, what'd you think of it? And number 2, who gives your favorite cinematic portrayal of Santa? Be sure to leave your answers in the comments below so we can get a discussion going. Alright, so if you got some enjoyment, insight, or information out of this review, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe while you're at it to see more videos like this. Till next time, this has been Alyssa with Mainly Movies, the way life should be.